Hello everybody, I'm glad you're here today. Today is August 4th, 2024. In this video, I'm bringing you a dream that my dad had on August 2nd, 2024. It is relevant to the scenario that we're seeing unfold right now in the Middle East. At least I think it is. I'd like to know what y'all think. So I'm going to bring you that in a little bit. Things are getting very tense when they're telling people to get out of Lebanon as clearly as to grab any flight you can. Just get out. That speaks volumes to what's going on right now. Now, I'm feeling very led to support our military right now. Y'all praying, obviously. If you have someone in the military, comment in the comment section below if you feel comfortable doing that. But please offer your prayers to the military in the comment section below so that our people know we are supporting them, we are loving on them, we're lifting them up to the Father. So please do that if you are so inclined in the comment section. I want to tell you that if you do know someone that is fighting and being put in harm's way, get their address and send them a care package. We can do that. Even though we're on the home front, we can support our military right now. We are on the cusp of a major worldwide conflict. Oh, we can just say war. So just because we're not on the front line doesn't mean we can't do some things beyond praying, all right? So I also want to tell you about this organization. It's called Operation Shoebox. Operation Shoebox if they're stateside, so if you want to send your care package stateside, which is a little easier to mail, they will then get it and send it overseas for you. Just generically to a lot of people. When in our church we used to go to, we would make boxes, like 20 or 30 boxes, and send them to Operation Shoebox, and then Operation Shoebox would get them to the military. So you can do that. That is an action item that you can do today or tomorrow or this week that will make the world a little better place. So be thinking about that. Now then, when it comes to this dream, I'm going to read it to you. My dad's 82. He lives next door to me. He began having prophetic dreams. We believe they're prophetic dreams. And he began having them in 2020. And we just began writing them down. And then as we wrote them down, we saw elements and patterns. And then we realized this is the Lord talking to us. So I bring them to you humbly, and I ask you to pray about them, and however they resonate with you, then roll with that. If it doesn't, then just skip it and go on, I guess. I don't know how else to put that. All right. So then after I get done reading this, you need to listen just a little bit longer because there's a story that goes with this dream that will blow your mind. Okay, so just because I give the dream, don't click off quite yet, because there's one more element I need to bring you that's not in this dream, all right? This is August 2nd, 2024. My dad was with a group of people, and they had been called to an emergency meeting, and it was in a very small room. The chairs in the room were like double chairs, double wide. My dad sat down, and then a guy squeezed in next to him in the chair. And the room was full of people. A man who was the leader began to give like a briefing of what they were doing there. And he was describing a man as a terrorist. And as he was describing this man who was the terrorist, my dad was listening and thought, wait a minute. And the leader kept saying about a plan, a surveillance plan to watch him, to look at him, da-da-da-da-da. And my dad turned to the guy sitting next to him and said, that guy's not a terrorist, he's a dentist. And the speaker went on to talk about the whole plan, but my dad was like, yeah, he's a dentist and he's my neighbor. So the dream changed. My dad was driving home. He stopped at this dentist neighbor terrorist's house and got out and knocked on the door, and the wife answered the door. And she said to my dad, I'm so glad you're here. There are 3 Hispanic men that came to my door asking to do yard work. And I just want you to know that they are in the neighborhood. So my dad said, okay, thanks. And he got in the car, began to drive a little, to go next door, but noticed that there was someone in between the two houses planting trees in a semicircle. Semicircle. And the trees were kind of bald. They were bald at the bottom, but they had a ball of leaves, like manicured ball at the top of each tree. And the man who was planting the trees turned to my dad and said, "We're trying to make it look as nice as possible." Then my dad looked and saw some other men, nondescript, planting cigarette cartons about 6 boxes along the side of his neighbor's house, the dentist's house. They were burying cigarette cartons. So he went and stood there for a while. Then he got in his car and was driving home, and then saw a car come up to the houses. In between the houses, there were 4 brown-skinned men in the car. The 4 men got out, and they said they were here to take care of the terrorist they had been told about, that they had been talking about at the meeting. So they told, and my dad, they said that to my dad. The 4 men, one of the men said, "We're here to take care of the terrorist that we were talking about in the meeting." And my dad said, "We don't have any terrorists." And they said, "Oh yeah, you do. They have something we want, and you know it, and we're going to go get it." My dad felt threatened, but he watched them go up to his neighbor's house, and he was worried, and he was worried that they would cause his neighbor harm, his neighbor's wife harm. And so my dad said, "Wait a minute, I'll show you where it's buried." But they went to the door anyway, and the wife answered. And when she opened the door, my dad saw the dentist run to the back of the house. And then my dad spoke stronger, "I will show you where it's buried." So they turned away, and the 4 men were okay with that. And my dad showed them where the cigarette cartons were buried. Those 4 men dug them up, took the cigarette cartons, and got in and drove off. I'm calling the man who said, so my dad said, "I'm calling the man who was the leader in that meeting." At the very beginning, at the emergency meeting, my dad called that leader, and he said to the leader, "You have put me in a bad situation. I told you he's a dentist." The man who was the leader laughed and said, "Well, that's great. Now we have them where we want them." The morning sun was rising, and my dad realized he had spent all night dealing with this. And that was the end of the dream. I hope that made sense. If you have questions, ask in the comment section. I'll try to answer it as best I could. The best I can. Here are my dad's impressions as the dreamer. My dad's impression was that the dentist had these guys bury the cartons, and they were actually his. Like he really was a terrorist. It felt like the man at the beginning was very deceitful, and like it was all a setup. And my dad was kind of the patsy, or kind of the fall guy. And he was the one that had been put at risk. That was the end of the dream, and those were his impressions. Here here are my interpretations. I believe that's talking about the escalation of of what's happening right now worldwide with this war, and with, I believe there are terrorist cells. Well, the FBI has told us this. There are terrorist cells all in the United States. And so they may look like they're your next door neighbor. They may have been here for years and you wouldn't even suspect them. That's how well they're fitting in. I wonder if that's what that means. If you start out, it's at an emergency meeting. In other words, we are at emergency level. I can't, I'm not going to break this down element by element. The trees being planted, trees often mean people in dreams. You know, are they plants that were put into place to cause us harm, and they're trying to look like nice people, as nice as possible, but they're really very hateful and dangerous and evil? I think that's what that means. I think it is very interesting that they said, oh yeah, you do. They have something we want, and you know it, and we're going to get it. I don't know exactly what they mean, but I think they're going to take whatever they want by whatever means they're going to take it in real life. Our country, our livelihood, our culture, our peacefulness, that we are under that threat right now from terrorists that are in our country already. And we know this in the natural. We've been told this in the natural. I think God is saying, yeah, I'm affirming this in the spiritual. I'm telling you, this is legit. This is true. What you're hearing is true. I see it, and I'm warning you as your father. I also think that I don't know why the guy's a dentist, other than he's a mouthpiece, or dentists deaden your mouth. Dentists are, everything that's associated with a dentist. Think about it, and put it in the comment section too, because I'm sure I haven't taken a deep enough dive into this. Dentists have to do with a mouthpiece. They deaden things. They deaden it so you don't feel any pain. Maybe they're the part of the terrorist group that causes everyone to kind of go to sleep and make you feel safe in a lull, but there's great pain that's fixing to come. I wondered that. That's what I thought about. But I'll tell you something that we could not figure out until yesterday. Okay, so my dad dreamt this on the 2nd. We went round and round on the 2nd. I think that was Friday. What do the cigarette cartons mean? What does that mean? We tried to break it down, figure it out, And then what was mind-blowing to us, I was listening to Canadian Prepper Saturday morning, yesterday, August 3rd. I was listening to Canadian Prepper. I'm just listening while I'm doing a puzzle, y'all. While I'm doing my big jigsaw puzzle. And he suddenly said this quote, which absolutely, I turned off the video and wrote this down, and then I looked it up to see if it was true. Apparently, on X, that used to be Twitter, an Iranian commander said that this quote was quoted as saying, he's an Iranian commander of the Iranian military. He was quoted as saying this: "We produce missiles like cigarettes. The biggest problem we have is with space to store our missiles." Did you hear that? We produce missiles like cigarettes. I heard that on August 3rd. August 2nd is when my dad dreamt this. And we kept thinking, why are they burying cigarette cartons? Why are they unburying? Why are they digging up cigarette cartons? You figure that out. You connect those dots however you want to. I've connected them the way I see it. And in my opinion, that means they're getting their missiles ready now. This at the end of the dream, the sun was coming up. It's beginning. It's starting. And another chilling statement in this dream was when the leader that was in that first meeting said, well, that's great. Now we have them where we want them. I do not believe that leader was a good man. He's a liar. I don't know if he represents our government, our president, I don't know who he represents. Somebody higher up giving a briefing. Okay. So that's what I want you to know. And I think that you can see the elements of that dream, and if you can't, I'm so sorry. I wish I were better at this. I really do. I'm just going to bring you that dream, and then you need to do with it. Please read the comments, because the rock stars, because the dream interpreters are in the comments, and then pray over the interpretations, and the Lord will lead you to what is true and right. If someone emails me with an interpretation that resonates, I'll bring in, I'll make a video about it, all right? But what I do think is this is danger. Danger, children, danger. Missiles. And I don't know, this video may not, it may even get shut down because I've said too many words that this platform does not like. And if it does, it does. I mean, I'm just doing the best I can here. But I will say this. Things are happening at warp speed. Even me, and I'll confess this to you, I will look at, like, if I get busy and I'm not tuned into the news for 6, 8 hours, 12 hours, whatever, I'll look at the videos. If the video is more than like 5 hours old, I don't listen to it, because I'm like, that's old. That's old news. Not, maybe 5 hours is too little. Maybe 12 hours. If it's more than 12 hours old, I'm like, I don't know, but that's too old. So more has happened since then that I need to know about. I'm not going to waste my time listening to old news. So that's where we are at. All right, that's where we are at. I heard actually it's a book I'm reading, describe these days as the last of the last days. And, there's no way we can for sure know that. We are feeling it, aren't we? We're feeling it. So, moving forward this week, based on what we're seeing in the natural, based on what the Lord is giving us in the supernatural, I would concentrate on glorifying God in all things. Glorify God in the highest. That is where you need to be putting your energy. And as you are putting your energy there, however you're doing that, remember to keep focused on Jesus. Jesus is Lord, our Redeemer, our Savior, our friend, our brother, our King, all of those things. And we will just hang on to Him during this. He will take care of us. Someone mentioned, I had mentioned in a couple of videos ago that I read 1 John chapter 4, verse 4, that the spirit within us is greater than the spirit out in the world. The Holy Spirit is greater than Satan, basically, is what that means. And so that does not mean we do not hurt or get sick or have troubles. That means that eternally Nothing can take my belief in Jesus Christ away from me. And yes, hardships happen to Christians, all right? Bad things happen to Christians. We live in a fallen world, and we've been given free choice to choose to follow Jesus. He is the answer to everything. Jesus is the answer to all of this mess we're experiencing. So moving forward this week, top off your preps if you're able to. See what you got. Go get some extra stuff if you're able to. Make sure your animals are taken care of because from what I understand, Iran just announced they do have a nuclear weapon. Is that the cigarette boxes? Maybe. Help me out with this dream and interpretation through the Holy Spirit. If you don't know Jesus, come to him now. He loves you so much. The minute you say, I believe Jesus is before you finish that, he will grab you up and hold on to you, and then he'll recreate you if you'll let him. All right, I'm going to leave that with you. Stay safe, America. This is Gina Lima Charlie. I'm out.